Namaskar and welcome to the Economic Brief, weekly program on news related to the world of geoeconomics from an Indian perspective of the world. On the program, the Indian economy is alive and leading, hardly dead, as referenced by the US President Donald Trump. Trump's tariff tactics shake the global economy, but they also risk economic blowback at home. Japan turns to foreign workers as aging population strains the economic future. And Trump tries to pressure India with tariffs, but Tesla expands its footprint with a showroom in Delhi. Before we move on, let's listen to Prime Minister Narendra Modi. He spoke recently in Bengaluru and he was inaugurating the yellow line of India's IT capital. He was talking about India's economic rise in no uncertain terms.
आज भारत दुनिया की फास्टेस्ट ग्रोइंग मेजर इकोनॉमी है। पिछले 11 इयर्स में हमारी इकोनॉमी 10वें नंबर से टॉप 5 में पहुंच गई। हम बहुत तेजी से टॉप 3 इकोनॉमी बनने की ओर आगे बढ़ रहे हैं। ये स्पीड हमें कैसे मिली है? ये स्पीड हमें रिफॉर्म, परफॉर्म, ट्रांसफॉर्म की स्पिरिट से मिली है। ये स्पीड हमें साफ नीयत और ईमानदार प्रयासों से मिली है। आप याद करिए, 2014 में मेट्रो सिर्फ 5 शहरों तक सीमित थी, 5 सिटीज। अब 24 सिटीज में 1000 किलोमीटर से ज्यादा मेट्रो नेटवर्क है। भारत अब दुनिया का तीसरा सबसे बड़ा मेट्रो नेटवर्क वाला देश बन गया है।
So let's put the Prime Minister's words into context on a larger canvas. And the issue at hand is this: is the Indian economy dead, as referenced by the US President? Well, clearly not, because the Indian economy is alive and leading with a capital A and a capital L. Let's see why. First of all, we can see that the real GDP growth is 6.5% from 2015 to 2025. A strong engine of growth for the global economy, outpacing the emerging markets, which are growing at 4.1%, and the OECD nations, which are growing at 1.8%. So clearly you see that India is the horse that is driving this growth. It also contributes disproportionately to the share of global growth. India's share currently in global growth is about 13% of global growth. And it is set now to overtake in size, the size of the economy, Germany, and become the 3rd largest economy in the world. It is also the top performer among from the G20 economies, not the G7 economies. It's top performer among the G20 countries. So let's move on to our next slide. The equity markets also, are 16% average annual returns coming in clearly from the equity markets. And we can see that exports have jumped, as the Prime Minister said, from $468 billion to about $825 billion. That is a huge jump in terms of our exports. And defense exports too have doubled, not doubled, but gone up 12x. Currently, defense exports are to the order of about $12.8 billion, and India has set a target of about 50,000 crore rupees in defense exports by 2028-29, which would be about $6 billion. Also, we know that there's been a digital revolution in our country. We know that the UPI is powering about 50% of global real-time digital payments, 49% to be more exact. And Digital India has built scalable, world-class platforms, as we know, and we are all, taking advantage of that personally. Inflation has come down to approximately 4.5%. It is manageable, and hence it is also helping in the growth story. And our forex reserves in India have more than doubled over the last 10 years. In fact, our foreign exchange reserves were around $700 billion, which is a comfortable amount of money. Also, 250 million people have been lifted out of multidimensional poverty. Clearly, this is not a dead economy, as we can see. And 550 million people have been given Jan Dhan accounts. That means that they have been brought into the financial system. There is financial inclusion. This is the world's largest financial inclusion program ever. And that we should be proud of. 34 lakh crore rupees, or about $400 billion, have been given in form of mudra loans for the small and medium sector. And that has also helped in entrepreneurship and self-employment and in creating jobs in the country. So we are the world's largest also in terms of vaccination drive. These are the social indicators that we can see have helped our country. And we look at global confidence. We already know that the UK has called its FTA with India the most ambitious FTA that it has done in history. And the European Free Trade Association has also pledged about $100 billion in investments for India. And we already know that most of the iPhones that are sold to the United States are, in fact, these are iPhones that have been made in India. So we can see clearly that, in fact, these are some of the clear indications as to why the Indian economy is resilient, dynamic, and data-backed. It is driven by self-belief and not dependency. So before I introduce you to our guest, let's listen to a comment made last month. This is made by the Indian economist Sanjeev Sanyal. He's a member of the Prime Minister's Advisory Council. And he speaks about India being cognizant of the turbulence in the global trade and also positioning itself to take best advantage of the current situation.
So, of course, the old order is breaking down, and there will be a period of turbulence. But as you have noticed, we have navigated this reasonably well. But we also will participate in the rule making of the new order, and we are taking proactive steps. As you may be aware, we are signing free trade agreements with a large number of countries. We already have some with countries like Japan, Australia, UAE, UK, and so on. We're in advanced discussions with the European Union and the United States. So let me say that we are fully cognizant of the environment which we are in. Our purpose is to provide as much of a cushion to our domestic economy so that we can keep growing. And of course, as the new environment settles down, to take advantage of those export markets as best as we can and be a participant in creating the contours and rules of that new system.
Well, for more on India's economic rise, we are joined by Dr. Charan Singh, Chief Executive of eGrow Foundation, an eminent economist. He's been tracking the Indian economy for a very long time. Dr. Charan Singh, how can anyone think that the world's fastest growing large economy is dead? Your comments.
Yeah, the point that you mentioned are so valid, the growth rate and look at the positioning that India is going to the fourth largest economy in the world within this year. But more importantly, Mark, I must mention that it is the youngest country in the world. We have nearly 800 million people below 35 years of age. And if you look at the workforce, 600 million people are in the workforce. You can't call such an economy dead. And then the space research, which we are doing in addition to the major things that you mentioned, we are also making a mark, technologically speaking, and the UPI, the network which you have mentioned and which is revolutionizing the banking sector totally, is all India. And then if you look in the US, major industries are headed by Indians. Means I would think the brain drain that took place in India, the most educated, bright children who went abroad to study and then manage and stayed back in the US have risen to the top now. And they are playing such an important role in the economy of the US.
Absolutely.
Calling such a country dead, I thought was really a misnomer. Rather, this is one of the most alive countries in the world, which is now you cannot really be working anywhere in the world without some influence of India, either in the computer or elsewhere. So
Indeed.
I think, and the way we are contributing into space technology, where we are able to launch satellites of other countries into space, and
Yes.
now we are planning to send a person there, I think this was a misnomer. Doesn't
Dr.
work.
Charan Singh, also, India is making appropriate adjustments to the new trading regime. So, how well placed is India to take advantage of the disruptions that are taking place?
I would go along with Sanjeev Sanyal, the member of the Prime Minister's Economic Advisory Council. I would treat it like a real opportunity and no more a challenge. We're a very large economy, and we have also lots of trade within the country taking place. And the way we are spreading through technology on trade, I think we're doing a very good job. In the G20 presidency, I think India has done an exceedingly good job in terms of looking at global south and bringing it into the mainstream. So all the trade disruptions that could be taking place because of the tariff walls with the US, I look at it as an opportunity to go to global south. Even after Operation Sindoor, what the Prime Minister did, he went and sent delegations across the world to different countries. I think in that sense, economic ties can be really done with those countries too. The 33 odd places where our delegations went.
Yes.
Within the country, there is, as you mentioned, that in this quote unquote dead economy, we have been able to move people from below the poverty line to above the poverty line in large numbers. It's a very prosperous country. They have demand, they have a market. So in case we find that there is a challenge on the exports, which I think we'll diversify further,
Yes.
open up channels with new countries, G20 as well as others. But within the hinterlands of India, there is so
Yes.
much of demand waiting to be met. I see nothing wrong, no challenge, because production will continue and rather progress further. And now, because we'll be catering to the hinterlands,
Yes.
maybe our production techniques will improve, will be more efficient and more effective in marketing.
Indeed. Stay with us, Dr. Charan Singh, for our next story as well. In the volatile arena of global politics and economics, the US President Donald Trump, he has, of course, turned tariffs into a signature move of his, an all-purpose tool, in a sense, deployed to tackle everything from trade deficits to strategic rivalries to geopolitics standoffs. Now, far from delivering unambiguous wins, the tariff strategy has the potential, in fact, to backfire by raising costs for American consumers, straining domestic industries, and sowing uncertainty across key sectors of the US economy. Let's look at this report. Many analysts and everyday observers see tariffs as Trump's go-to fix for everything. Critics say he overuses them to tackle trade gaps, foreign policy, and geopolitical disputes. Economists like Paul Krugman and Larry Summers warn this oversimplifies complex issues, risking economic fallout and instability. Steve Hanke adds that tariffs won't revive manufacturing, but will hurt working-class Americans. Trump believes otherwise.
We'll be putting a tariff on of approximately 100% on chips and semiconductors. But if you're building in the United States of America, there's no charge.
Even Republicans like Rand Paul, Ted Cruz, and Nikki Haley warn that overusing tariffs could damage the party and U.S. relations with friendly countries. Others say Trump's just doing what voters chose him for.
And a candidate that said, close the border, get illegal immigrants out of our country, stop the fentanyl, stop the human trafficking, stop the drugs, stop the crime, stop the violence. That's what Americans voted for.
Trump's tariff push may spur market shifts, de-dollarization, and make U.S. goods less competitive. Countries are fast-tracking trade deals, boosting local production and teaming up with non-U.S. buyers to stay ahead.
The US has historically been a third of our customer base, so we need to go and find alternative customers. What's sad is, this customer base was built up over 20 or 30 years, And that's all gone to pieces now. The reality is they still want to buy from us, but 30% tariffs is just unaffordable for them to buy at those sort of levels.
Despite Trump's 100% tariff threats, BRICS is shifting to bilateral trade and non-dollar reserves. The new development bank now holds approximately 40% in non-dollar assets, signaling a move away from dollar reliance. BRICS also aims to lead the global south with trade and aid free from dollar dominance.
There is this psychological aspect that you have to look at. Even if you disagree with the man, with Mr. Trump, you have to look at this psychological, I would say, part when you negotiate with him.
US households aren't at the table. Trump claims to speak on their behalf. Yet, tariffs may cost the US more than others, cutting GDP by 0.36% or $861 per household. They raise costs, hurt exports, and act as a tax, shrinking consumer power. In the end, tariffs may be less of a magic wand and more a blunt tool in the hands of the US president. The Economic Brief, DD India. Well, Dr. Charan Singh continues to be with us. Dr. Charan Singh, has the President Trump of the United States gambled with too much, with his tariff regime? Does it risk the US losing its influence rather than actually gaining more influence?
I totally agree with that observation of yours. I've lived in the US in 3 different cities, first in Boston, then in Palo Alto, and then in Washington, D.C. Let me tell you, the per capita income of the Americans is 82,000, but that doesn't mean that people in America, all of them have 82,000. There are people much below the poverty line of $14,000 to $15,000 per year. Now, these are the people who really cannot afford these luxuries of imposing tariffs because they come back to bite you in your own country. The prices of your goods are going to rise, and these are the people who are most vulnerable. They go to $1 shops, which are plenty in America. In almost every good marketing place, one street, you'll find $1 shop there. That's where they go and purchase, and that's where they go and buy. The second-hand goods shops are plenty. The second-hand furniture shops are plenty in America. There is a segment of Americans who are working 2 shifts to make their living. So therefore, assuming that everybody in America, all the 33 crore people have 82,000 per capita income is wrong. There's a very large section of Americans, especially the African Americans, who have to depend on this segment, and therefore any price rise, they're most vulnerable to it. Now, also please remember, by deterring countries and scaring them away, it is the American population itself, especially the vulnerable ones, who are going to suffer the most. In addition, by deterring other countries through tariff and getting that sort of a reputation, even good products, which others can afford, are going to become expensive. So therefore, my own reading is where you, as the largest economy in the world, accounting for 25% of world GDP, you could be commanding lots of respect rather than coming out so harshly. And as in India, we would say in a joint family, the elder brother has a role to play, and that's a more magnanimous role to play, and that creates goodwill. But if you kill that goodwill, it's very difficult to recover it. So my own feeling is, apart from the economics of it, and apart from the hitting the vulnerable sections, there's a global leadership which is also being dented. This may lead to multipolar world.
Dr. Charan Singh, also, how does market diversification work? Because a lot of countries are now looking to find other markets. Can there be alternative markets that the US can't actually indirectly influence? Because you say 25% of global GDP they control, and they are the big brother in a joint family.
In history, if you see, for a very long time, the Brits were on the top economically. Then came the Americans. Now they are being challenged by Chinese. And we are in the queue too, and we are going to challenge all of them too. Russia is also there. Europe is also there. The very construction of the euro was in competition to the dollar, which was becoming a unipolar world. So there are lots of opportunities available there. You must have noticed that foreign trade agreements, regional agreements, have suddenly become very, very important. The Shanghai Cooperation Organization, the Gulf Cooperative Council, the Comprehensive Economic Partnership Agreement that we have signed with the UAE, these are all becoming popular now. then the Global South is going to become very, very popular. And by the way, I must mention, Global South is the area where you will find in the next 15 to 20 years, there are resources, there is population, and that's where the markets are going to come. As you must have already noticed, this is already being discussed. Alternatives, and you mentioned in your report, alternatives to international reserves, international currency are also emerging. Euro is obviously one of them, but Chinese renminbi is also another one in recognition. And Indian rupee is already being traded in the neighborhood. And the foreign exchange reserves of the world are no more.
I'm afraid we've run out of time, Dr. Charan Singh, but thank you very much for, putting that into perspective for us and helping us understand, the greater depth of this story and how many ways it can influence our lives. Thank you very much, sir. Our next story is about Japan, and Japan is facing a demographic challenge, as we know, that threatens its economic future, an aging population and a shrinking workforce. Amid the stress, the country is increasingly looking abroad, welcoming young foreign workers to fill critical labor shortages and strengthen its fiscal position. Diptanshu Kashyap brings us this report on how Japan is using immigration to power its economy.
Japan is increasingly relying on foreign workers to bolster its economy and fiscal health. With one of the fastest aging populations in the world and a shrinking domestic labor force, the country views young overseas talent as vital to sustaining growth. A Nikkei survey of leading economists found that 2/3 believe expanding the foreign resident population will strengthen Japan's fiscal position through higher tax revenues and social security contributions. More than 3/4 also expect it to lift living standards by improving access to goods and services, stabilizing prices, and enhancing workplace productivity. Japan's foreign resident population reached 3.7 million at the end of last year, up 11% from 2023. They now make up just 3% of the total population, far below the OECD average of 11%, highlighting the potential for further growth. Nearly 56% are in their 20s and 30s, prime working ages, making them significant net contributors. Economists say this demographic helps close labor gaps, drives productivity, and delivers more in taxes and social insurance premiums than they draw in benefits. Japan's key immigration reforms include abolishing the decades-old technical intern training program in 2024 and replacing it with the training work program. The migrant workers can extend their stays and open clearer pathways to permanent residency for skilled professionals. While many Western economies face political pushback and economic caution over immigration, Japan is charting a different path, treating foreign workers as a strategic asset. In the US, UK, and much of Europe, concerns over job competition, public spending, and integration have led to tighter controls. Japan, by contrast, is leveraging targeted immigration to replenish its workforce, sustain industrial output, and secure fiscal stability. Economists emphasize that lasting success will depend on policies that integrate foreign residents effectively, turning demographic headwinds into long-term economic growth. Diptanshu Kashyap's report for the Economic Brief, DD India.
Well, Elon Musk-owned Tesla has opened its second showroom in Delhi after its debut into the Indian market at Mumbai's Bandra Kurla complex. A new Tesla showroom in Delhi's Aero City acts as a brand experience center, in fact, allowing visitors to explore the brand's EV ecosystem and also learn about its new Model Y electric SUV. We leave you with Aman Kumar Himanshu's report. We'll meet you next week with more news from the economic world. Till then, stay safe and stay healthy and wealthy. Namaskar.
On one hand, India is feeling the heat from US President Donald Trump's tariffs. And on the other, Elon Musk is flipping the scripts and expanding footprints in India by introducing new showroom of Tesla in New Delhi. Elon Musk-owned Tesla has opened its second showroom in the commercial premium hub of AeroCity, Delhi. This comes just weeks after making its debut at Bandra Kurla complex in Mumbai. The new showroom in national capital underscores Tesla's commitment to expanding its presence in key metropolitan hubs.
It's a fair ask that we should also try and show some resistance towards the US if they are putting up these recent taxes in place. I do not think that has to be do particularly with Tesla, but in general, yes, I think there should be a resistance from us as well.
It won't influence my decision. It's my personal choice. Like if I'm working in USA and I'm based in USA, I'll definitely buy over there. So why not in India?
Located at the Worldmark 3 AeroCity Mall, the 8,200 square foot Tesla showroom is leased at Rs 17.22 lakh per month for 9 years. Its strategic location near the Indira Gandhi Airport helps it to cater to premium buyers, offering convenient access from central Delhi, Gurugram and key expressways. The Delhi showroom showcasing the Model Y EVs with two variants, namely rear-wheel drive or RWD, which ships with a 60 kilowatt per hour battery, while the long-range RWD comes with a 75 kilowatt per hour battery. The rear-wheel drive is available at a starting price of Rs 59.89 lakh, while the long-range RWD variant is priced at Rs 67.89 lakh. Customers can avail of the full self-driving or FSD pack at an additional cost of Rs 6 lakh. Customers can order their EVs from the dedicated Tesla India portal. The deliveries of the cars will begin in the third quarter of the year. Tesla's arrival in Delhi is more than just an opportunity to display its best-selling SUV. Company has strategically placed 4 V4 superchargers and 3 AC destination chargers in its basement parking. Tesla's new charging setup forms a key part of its broader strategy to develop a robust EV network in the country. India is accelerating its shift toward green mobility by opening its market to global electric vehicle or EV manufacturers. Tesla's arrival adds momentum to the growing interest from global players, including Vietnam's VinFast, which has already invested $2 billion in India. While Tata Motors and Mahindra dominate the mass market EV space, luxury brands like Mercedes-Benz, BMW and Audi are expanding their electric portfolios to meet rising demand. With strong government support and increasing consumer interest, India is fast becoming a key destination for global EV investments. The Economic Brief, DD, India.